Vicky. Well, hello everybody and welcome to our panel on Return to Confidence. I'm Kate Philpott, a Principal Consultant at InfinityWorks in Manchester. And today we're going to be speaking to 4 amazing women about their confidence journeys and some of the successes and challenges that they've had along the way. On our panel today we have Alison Hughes, a Senior Technology Delivery Manager at the Co-op. Alison is also a mentor for 1 Million Mentors and a big sister for Girls Out Loud, as well as being an ambassador for the confidence community. We also have Zainab Nouri, a tech returner and graduate of the Your Return to Tech program, who previously worked in academia and research and completed an MSc in Communication and Signal Processing Engineering. Zainab is now an associate developer at And Digital. We also have Jen Calland, a former business and applications analyst for Siemens, who after an extended career break to care for her children, joined the Tech Up Women and Tech Returners programs to upskill in cloud technologies, and is now a data analyst at CTS, an active promoter of D&I and parent carers for autistic folks. And finally, I've got to go over here now, Emma Walker, a career changer who started in radiotherapy physics in the NHS, then took part in the Tech Returners and BBC Step Into Tech program, where she now works as a mobile software developer. So, welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Let's start with this question, shall we? So, it's quite a broad one, but what does confidence mean to you? Is it something we either have or we don't have, or is it more complex than that? Emma, what do you think?
So for me, I think confidence is when I feel trusted and valued and like proud in my work. You know, I feel like I've done a good job. But as well, I know I'm feeling confident in myself and my work when I feel accountable for it, and sort of I've got the ability to take on feedback as well, like I'm feeling secure in my role. But I think it's really important for everyone in the audience, and everyone up here on the panel, I think, to just acknowledge that I'm sitting on a panel that's called Return to Confidence, but I don't feel confident right now, or 100% of the time, because it's not a binary state. I can feel confident in parts of my role, or parts of my job, or parts of my life, and that ebbs and flows. Yeah, it's not, I don't think you either are or you aren't.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's like you kind of, I find myself falling into that trap of thinking, right, it's either a confident person or an unconfident person, or I'm one of each, but I think there's always probably going to be areas that we struggle with. I don't know what you think. Alison, let me just turn to you. What do you think are the common barriers that women face when it comes to confidence?
There's so many, because it's so individual to every person. Like, everyone has such a different experience with confidence. There's obviously the systemic barriers, which we know the impact of, and that's measurable and tangible, and we should all be working to try and fix those. You know, it's been said already, you know, I can't remember the last time I was talking about anything relating to technology, and the vast majority of the people in the room were women. So this is huge for me. But there's also personal barriers, so whether that's self-doubt, thinking that you're not good enough, the idea of comparison can also be really tough, you know, thinking that a confident person looks like this, and you have this picture in your head, and all you're really doing is creating this longer list of things that you aren't, and you open up this gap between like what you are and what you want to be, and you just end up feeling worse by doing that. But I think one of the things that I'd like everyone to take away from today, and I know you all didn't come for homework, but here it is the idea of opportunities. The amount of opportunities available can be a barrier, particularly for women in technology. So if you can think of even small ways that you can lift people up, give other people opportunities to do things. You know, the biggest boost that you can give someone is to believe in them and give them an opportunity to go ahead and do something. So even if it's, tiny things in your work day or bigger things like this, it's so important to say to someone, I think you can do this, and give them the chance to go ahead and show you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that. And what do you have any advice on how we can build confidence in those areas that we might be struggling with?
I think, as I said, it's different for every person. But I think in terms of the biggest thing that you can really do is to evaluate that conversation that you're having with yourself about why you think you can't do something. And, a lack of confidence is often born out of fear. And really check in with yourself as to whether that's rational or not. Are you afraid that if you give a presentation at work that someone's going to pop out of a bin at the back and say, like, oh, you're so stupid, you shouldn't be speaking, you're not qualified? And, that's just not going to happen. And even if it is, invite one of us and we'll throw something heavy at them. Like, you just don't need to do that.
It's mad how much you focus on that, though, isn't it? When in the build-up to it, you're just so focused on what can go wrong.
Exactly, and being in your own head, you can just amplify that by a million. So really getting the perspective of other people, the support of other people, someone who's going to say, no, you don't need to think that. That's just, no, that's not going to happen. Don't worry. That's reaching out for the support, the perspective is also just the best thing you can do when you feel you're in your own head.
Yeah, 100%. Jen, let me bring you in here. What's your thoughts around this?
Well, basically by starting small, I've got a demo, actually, and if y'all want to participate too, feel free. And don't leave me up here standing all alone.
Oh, thanks, Jen, for the
Power
warning.
poses. Sorry. Power poses. Now, stand up, take a breath, feel that, be in the present. Thank you, Becky. Look for your helpers. But start small, showing up. You got most of the job done right then and there, just by showing up. So start small and build on that. Take from life experiences, challenges that you've recently had or longer back in the past. For example, I home educated my autistic son until he was ready to go to school, and he decided he wasn't ready to go to school until he was in year 3. I helped my toddler daughter survive cancer. So I take from those life experiences and I build on those, and then I keep going. But I actually had an interesting thought over the weekend, an idea, if you will, that the fact that I had to take such a long career break, to care for my kids, and eventually got burned out as a parent carer, and then tried to get my career back in tech. I realized that my story isn't so unique anymore, because when the pandemic first lockdown happened, it felt familiar. We had to go into isolation. We had to keep everything super clean all the time. We had to keep controls on who we can see, because my daughter was immunocompromised. Emma knows all about that. So to keep her safe and to keep her alive, we had to have all these restrictions on our living. Guess what? Hasn't everybody in this room had to do that in the past couple of years at one point or another? Have you, at one point or another, was very, very, very frightened, and just terrified for the health of a loved one? So you've all done it. Build on that. Make that your anchor. Help grow your confidence.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you. And
Surprise.
so thank you so much for sharing that. So it's such a personal story to you. It must have been incredibly difficult. Emma, let me bring you in here.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your story. When we are experiencing those situations that challenge our confidence and those personal situations that may be quite difficult, let's think about the workplace a little bit. How have your colleagues or employers supported you?
Yeah, so a lot of what Jen said obviously resonates with me. There's been loads of times where my confidence has been challenged, but as you all know, the most recent was following a breast cancer diagnosis. And it was just a place I never thought I'd find myself in at 32, coming back from an adventure sabbatical where I was climbing and surfing all around the UK. And I was due to come back to work, and yeah, just everything changed. And originally I thought I'd take the whole time off work for my treatment, and the BBC were incredibly supportive of that decision. And then 2 weeks into my recovery from surgery, I phoned my boss and I said, please let me come back to work, because being left with your thoughts can be just too much.
2 weeks? 2 weeks?
Yeah, 2 weeks
after the
into my
surgery.
recovery. Yeah, I was like,
Wow.
please let me come back to work. This is not working for me. And so in preparation for today, I was thinking about like what I obviously felt confident enough to ask for that, to ask my boss. And initially I had decided to take the time off because there was just going to be so much unpredictability, and there still is coming ahead, I've worked through my surgery recovery and 8 rounds of chemotherapy, but there's a lot still to go, and I've really needed a flexible workplace. And so I was thinking about, in preparation for today, like what environment meant that I could ask for that, and also like how did my employers and my colleagues make me feel confident enough that being in and out wasn't going to be a detriment to my career. And so, yeah, I think that culture of confidence was really has fostered an environment in the team where, we weren't sure what was going to be possible, but just playing it by ear and seeing how it goes, I could ask for that. And I think one of the things was we as a team are really open and honest. And obviously, in my situation, the amount that you disclose is personal. But by just being really open and honest with my team about what was going to happen and what side effects I was going to have, or about my hot flushes through the menopause that I'm in, and by talking to my team about that before they happened.
Do you share that? Do you actually have
that
dialogue?
100%.
Do you?
Yeah. So before I started chemotherapy, I sat down with my whole team and I said, these are the possible side effects. We don't know what's going to happen. And by speaking about that before they happened, before it was a problem, it meant that when I needed to switch my camera off and strip off for a few minutes to cool down,
They know.
it was not a big deal. There was already a language around it. It just wasn't, so that honesty is really useful. And I think that communication and feedback, so if it wasn't going to work, if I asked for feedback from my team via my team lead, and I also set up like an anonymous feedback form so that if Mike being in and out, or if it was negatively impacting the workload, that they had a forum to speak about that. And another big thing my team lead did that made the flexible working environment work for me was just he removed any barrier that wasn't related to me being a software developer. So he took all the admin out of my hands, for example.
Really?
And it just meant that when I was able to work and when I felt well enough to work, I was a developer. I could focus on being a developer. And yeah, they're a team of cheerleaders, like some of the things that Sarah mentioned, like celebrating. We have a really good culture of celebrating successes and calling out when things go well, or when people run a meeting really well, or if someone gets a feature done on time, just celebrating those small things. And when you're feeling not at your best, hearing that out loud just makes you feel like on top of the world. It makes such a difference.
Yeah.
so they're just some of the things, and it sounds so obvious, right? Like all those things you'd say to yourself, well, but they really make such a huge difference. And it meant that I could keep working when I could, and it's been amazing for me.
And so you've worked pretty much all the way through, have you?
Yeah. I mean, not to my best, and not always. You know, sometimes it's just picking up a little bit of admin, or those nice-to-do features that are in the future. Always on the future roadmap, but maybe never get quite there. But yeah, it's been brilliant for me because it meant I felt like I was more than just a patient. Or just, and to keep me busy. But for the organization, it means that I'm not going to have such a re-onboarding curve, and I've kept my skills up. And I think one of the big things I thought was, this flexible working is just not going to work for my team. But when you really put in it and everyone tries, I think you'd be surprised what is possible.
Yeah. Wow. And when we spoke yesterday, you were back in the office for the first time.
Yeah, in person.
Yeah. Jen, as you mentioned, we've all had a break, haven't we? We've all kind of been away, and things have changed. So it's an interesting time, definitely. Let's talk a little bit about career breaks, because that is one of the things that quite often is a challenge for our confidence levels, and so often it's something that we do. I've done it. I was on 18 months maternity leave. Zainab, I know that you've taken a break from your career as well. What did you learn during that time that you've taken forward?
Well, I think there are many reasons for career breaks that we already all have here. And mine was not even my option somehow. I've been here studying for my MSc degree, and when I finished, I couldn't go back home due to the war situation. So I claimed asylum, and the process of asylum took about 3 years until to be resolved. So at that point, my confidence level has badly shaped.
So you were in the UK, but you weren't able to
I was
work.
not allowed to work.
Right.
Asylum seekers here, they are not allowed to work until they got positive decision for their claim. I remember at the beginning, my confidence really badly shaked. But then I start thinking that I'm having now this time, I'm having that much spare time. How can I use it to upskill myself, or even add some new skills that I didn't know or try before? So the first thing that I decided to do is doing voluntary work, and I've been a volunteer for a charity here in Manchester, and working there really helped me gain a lot of experience. I know it might not be really technical experience, but these kind of skills of administration, problem solving, listening to people's needs, they are all under the umbrella of transferable skills. You can reuse them later in your career, and that's what happened for me, actually. And I also tried not to be totally isolated when I was on the career break. So I was always keen to look to the events, exhibitions, to attending some talks, just to see what the current market requirement right now, how can I update my information about it. And from there, I started doing some online courses, using some online resources in order to upskill in the tech side. I was mainly focusing on the web development basics, and that helped me a lot to build my confidence that you are doing something in your time, you are not just wasting your time. So that started building my confidence a bit. The other thing that I really found it really beneficial is to have a mentor during that time. I had a mentor, and she was not a technical person, but even though I had a lot of knowledge from her, she was very supportive.
How did you meet her? Was that through some kind of scheme,
I met
or
her.
You knew her?
Yeah, I met her at the Rainbow Heaven charity, the charity that I was volunteered in. And it's all started about informal chit chat, and then ended up having her as my mentor at that time. And we were just talking about my goals, my career goals in the future, or sometimes I was just having some informal talk with her just to have a bit of, I don't know, relax, or just a bit of courage from her. So that, and till now, I'm really happy that I'm still having a mentor, career coach in my work, and I highly recommend to having mentor or career coach who are really gonna support you. And I'm proudly that she is sitting here somewhere, my career coach today. Hi Julie. So that's one of the things that really up your confidence level. And the last thing that I've learned is be patient, no matter how long it's gonna take. You're gonna be after everything finished, you're gonna be in a place that you will be really proud of, and you're gonna share your stories like what we are doing here today. So that's my story.
Oh, well, fascinating, absolutely fascinating. So, time-wise, I have no idea what we're doing about time. Becky's saying wrap it up. Okay, let's go. Fair enough. Okay, let's wrap it up by just saying, what's the one key thing that you would like people to take away from today, just in a couple of sentences. So, Alison, I'll start with you.
I think for me it would be confidence looks like something different for every single person. For some people, it's speaking. For other people, it might be going somewhere by yourself and not feeling self-conscious about it. Like, don't feel like to be confident you have to be X, Y, and Z. You can build that and create that for yourself, and no one can tell you that's wrong.
Yeah, so, in general, career break is a very normal thing in our life. We should not be ashamed or that's happened, this is life, and just be patient, believe in yourself, keep looking for the right employer who's going to believe in your capabilities after, and don't forget that there are many organizations now, like tech returners, who are supporting people who want to go back to their career. So I highly recommend as well looking for these people who are going to really support you and build up your skills and also your confidence.
Awesome, thank you. What about you, Jen?
Well, for returning to work, I spent a lot of time trying to identify my barriers. And I realized during that journey that I didn't have to climb all the mountains, not when I could go around them. So, find different ways to get past the barriers. Find that wiggle room that you might get, by pushing just a little bit, because it's about stacking the deck in your favor. Then it's about tipping the scales, because you may not get, 100%, this is the way that, this barrier gets resolved. But just a little bit to tip may be just enough. Yeah. And then finally, lean on your friends, your family, your networks, look for the helpers, ask for help. You wouldn't believe how many people actually want to help. It's amazing. So in that sense, you may actually have a lot more power and a lot more choice than you at first realized.
I think for me, the one thing I would say is, if you are struggling with confidence, with your own confidence, be it professionally or personally, ask yourself, where is that coming from? Because it's so often this stream of negativity coming from inside yourself. It's not coming from anyone else. And so I think if you do one thing, it's just be kind to yourself and give yourself a break, because the world is hard enough and cruel enough that for you to be your own worst enemy, there's just no value in it. So just give yourself a break, and be your own cheerleader, and be a cheerleader for the people around you. Yeah. That's what I think.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure to meet you and talk to you today. Yeah, I have taken on a lot from this discussion, and hopefully everybody has too. So, yeah, thanks, everybody.
Kate, and one more. Thank you for putting it together. So good.